I'm gonna read you a story.
You make a black brush.
This is called Breakfast for Dinner. After 45 minutes, I knew she wasn't coming back. I thought briefly that it might be a car accident, but I knew she was gone and she wasn't coming back. The boys had long ago burned through their supply of good behavior and were now wrestling in an otherwise silent Starbucks, but I didn't scold them for it. Normally, I'd worry about the impact my children were having on other people and start snapping about them, about respect and appropriate coffee shop behavior, and do you think it's fun for me to be around you and you don't listen to me, and blah, blah, blah. Not this time. I just sucked at the bottom of my latte and stared out the window, trying to picture my new future, but still looking for the car that I knew wasn't coming back. It was the good car, too. Liz wouldn't have taken off in the Civic. I never should have let her go anywhere except in the goddamn Civic. I love that car, but she never would have left me in a scraped-up Honda Civic with 122,000 miles on it, no. She was out there somewhere, leaving me in our year-old Audi A6 Turbo. What killed me the most wasn't the car, or even the fact that I was being left on my own to raise rambunctious 10 and 12-year-old boys. No, what really killed me was how we joked about this before, all the time. It was one of our things, one of our private, funny couple things. This isn't going to be one of the last times I see you, is it? I'd say when she was heading out to pick up Thai food or hit the ATM. You're not about to take the long walk for cigarettes, are you, baby? It was our joke. My joke, really, if I think about it. She never used it when I ran out for a quick errand. Not even once. Okay, boys, let's go. I got up and walked out, not looking to see if they were listening to me, not bussing my coffee cup or throwing out my muffin wrapper either. I decided to let my lazy side take control in this new situation. Fuck it. That would be my only mantra from now on. Fuck it. The boys followed, and someone almost certainly cleared my table after we left. See? It was going to be okay. It's true that I had my faults as a husband. Not that I ever slept with anyone else, but if I'm being honest, I can't say that I didn't want to, or wouldn't have under the right circumstances. The closest I ever came to doing anything over the line was when I told a woman I met at a conference in Atlanta where I'd be drinking that night. It was semi-innocent flirting until she showed up, looking gorgeous and ready to drink scotch until we both decided what the hell. She had a wedding ring on, just like me. Hey, Ryan. She clumped down on the bar stool next to me with the heaviness of someone who'd already been drinking for a while. It was a conference, after all. Buy a girl a scotch, she added, giving me a wink. I bought her a scotch, and then she bought me one, and around and around it went. We talked, we laughed, we let our hands touch, we rested our knees against each other suggestively. I even brushed her breast once, making a broad gesture as I concluded a rant about human nature. We drank so much and for so long that the initial spark of excitement actually just kind of fizzled out, and we went our separate ways without so much as a kiss. But I'd wanted more to happen, and I often regretted that it happened. I thought about that night as I walked to the bus stop, the boys trailing a half block behind me, not asking me why Mom wasn't coming back from the mall to pick us up. That night in Atlanta was my biggest crime as a husband. I did not deserve this. Unless if it all just slowly died somehow, without either one of us knowing enough about life or marriage to stop it from happening. Liz walked back into the house a week later at precisely 6:10 p.m. The boys and I were eating pancakes and scrambled eggs, and she just strolled in through the back door the way she always used to when we were still a family. She shot me a disapproving look, half kidding, half serious. It was a quick and painful glimpse back at the way we'd been not too long ago. The boys loved breakfast for dinner, and so did I. Liz, she was 50-50 on it. I'm leaving you, was all she said. I was chewing, so I had time to come up with a good quip. Looks to me like you're coming back. I shoved a wad of pancakes in my mouth to stifle the sob I felt rising. I'm just here for my clothes. She grabbed the fork out of my hand and stabbed a blob of eggs. It always seemed so romantic when I thought about it, just driving away like that. Truth is, I missed my wardrobe. I'm back for my clothes. That's it. She slid the eggs into her mouth, handed me the fork, and headed for the stairs. I heard the familiar creaking of floorboards as she went into our bedroom. The closet door opening, zippers, drawers, scuffling noises. I could picture exactly what she was doing. I'd watched her pack for dozens of trips. We traveled a lot, even when the boys were really little. It was one of the things we'd had in common, our love of travel. Now she was doing the final pack. No need to make choices. It's all going. Just shove it in there and get the fuck out. How long had she been thinking about leaving? The boys munched their food, lips smacking, one of the many rude behaviors that Liz had never been able to stamp out. They avoided looking at me. They were old enough to know exactly what was going on. I, on the other hand, had only a basic idea of what was happening here. I'd had a week to live with the idea of being left by my wife, but now that she was physically back in the house, I couldn't help but hope that something could be done to salvage things. Liz passed through the kitchen with 2 suitcases, and I fought down the urge to ask her if she needed help. "You guys can finish your dinner in front of the TV," I said to the boys after she passed through without a word. They got the hint and disappeared from the kitchen. I sat there, sipping my wine, running through ideas about what to say when Liz came back for the rest of her bags. I had 2, maybe 3 minutes to figure out how to stop this terrible thing from happening. The back door opened, and Liz moved swiftly towards the hallway, studiously keeping her gaze from falling my way, and I felt a stab of hope. This was hard on her, really hard. I could bring an end to this madness if I did exactly the right thing. But what was it? Suddenly, without thinking, I started making these sniffing noises. Liz stopped involuntarily and looked in my direction. "Hey Liz, you smell something burning?" She gave me a quick, slightly panicked glance. I got up with a look of exaggerated concern on my face. "Damn it, I think we've got a fire in here!" I lunged across the room and snatched the fire extinguisher from the wall near the stove. I sprayed the kitchen with wild abandon, blasting the floor, the table, the cobwebs in the corners of the ceiling. Liz was backed up against the wall with an odd look on her face. I couldn't tell if she was thawing in the face of my loving antics, or trying to figure out if I'd finally actually gone crazy. I pivoted flamboyantly and came to a stop with the nozzle pointed straight at her chest. "Don't you dare." Her tone was half menacing, but it also showed signs that she was remembering why she once loved me. "I don't dare, I care. You're on fire, baby, and I got to put you out." I tried to manage a smirk that didn't look maniacal as I sprayed a quick blast down at her feet. Just a warning shot. She hesitated a second in disbelief, then lunged towards me, grabbing at the hose as I feinted left and right, trying to keep her from getting a hold of the extinguisher. I backed away, dodging her hands, weaving from side to side, shooting the occasional blast of powder her way. I was convinced that if I could just get her to laugh, or even crack a smile, everything would be okay. She looked like she might be having fun, but it was hard to tell. Maybe she just couldn't believe that I was actually pulling something like this. I didn't have time to stop and think things through, though. I was embarked on this path, and I had to remain committed to it. "Come on, stand still, I'm trying to save you, baby!" As I made a quick left-right fake, I lost my footing on a patch of chemical powder. I arced backwards like a cartoon character, feet flying out from under me, eyes bugging out in shock. I shot backwards and cracked my head on the edge of the marble counter hard, then dropped heavily. My head bounced once, then came to a rest on the hard tile floor. Liz had wrenched the extinguisher from my hands as I was falling, and she was now poised above me, looking like she was about to spray me down, the way she would have done in the old days. The old days that were only about 9 or 10 days ago. But the old days were gone. They'd probably been gone for a lot longer than I knew. Only maybe they were back now. It seemed possible all of a sudden. Everything seemed possible. I felt dizzy, lightheaded. I began to fill with joy. I blinked up expectantly, waiting for the blast of chemical powder that would tell me I'd won my wife back. The blast never came. The extinguisher now dangled at Liz's side as her face went through a rapid series of expressions, exaggerated but hard to decipher. My joy, which had swelled to enormous heights, collapsed. Then, as tears began to fill her eyes, it rose up again. She was not going to leave me. I felt sure of it. The blood that was seeping out onto the floor felt warm and comforting on my back and arms. But as it spread out around Liz's feet, it occurred to me what she was looking at, what she must be seeing and realizing. She began to sob quietly, yet I felt perfectly content. Liz wasn't going to be leaving me. Not tonight. Not ever.